Thank you, gentlemen.
Where did the governor find $360 million to give to the wind companies?
Yeah.
Does that come
Well,
through
there's
you guys
a
somehow?
lot of those grant. They have what they call like that funds through NYSERDA. That some of the stuff, some of the money that ultimately initially everyone pays on the utility bills. When you look at your utility bill, you pay about 50% of it is on your supply side, about 25% is on taxes, fees, and assessments, and about 25% of it is on the delivery transmission. The supply side comes through the market. Obviously, the governor has pushed pretty aggressively a renewable portfolio standard. You've heard of the 50 by 30, where 50% of our power needs to be 50% of our generating capacity by 2030 has to come from renewables. There's a cost to that. So NYSERDA, they take a lot of that money that comes through to promote renewables and greens. The wind, a lot of the big tax credits really on the wind comes through the investment tax credit at the federal level. A lot of that investment wouldn't happen without that federal investment tax credit. But there are certainly, the state is really proactive in trying to promote renewables through the NYSERDA, through the Public Service Commission, and working on those plans. Certainly the governor, and again, I have no problem supporting wind and solar. I think it's part of a portfolio, but I don't think it should be heavily dominated by that. I think natural gas needs to be a part of that. I think nuclear. I look at it, the more diversity we have in our fuel, the more stability, the more reliability, and I think and ultimately it protects the ratepayer at the end of the day by having that type of diversity.
Yeah, Phil, I just going to add, as far as the wind, people feel that they could make money, and some of the people that are selling the towers are saying, yes, whatever you use or don't use, it's going to go back into your payment. The problem is the network is not large enough to accept all this electric power. So nobody talks about that. And if you think about California, there are thousands and thousands of windmills that are still there, not running, because the gearbox gets ruined. So who's going to take down a 450-foot antenna?
That's my point. I think this is a giant boondoggle, and I just don't know why the state government is getting involved with it. There's no private money in this thing at all. This is all government throwing money, taxpayer money. And of course, there's always poor people out here that want their handout to get their free money. I live on a hill. I would be surrounded by those monster things. I moved out here so I could have peace and quiet. If you have a giant wind generator churning away in my front yard, that kind of wrecks that.
Well, no, I've certainly heard from people that don't.
I think it's just a boondoggle. It's never going to work. You can't turn off one power plant. They don't produce regularly enough to turn off a power plant.
No, that's been the issue I've raised with a lot of my colleagues. Is that it's fine that you want to support alternative energy, but it's intermittent.
Yeah.
And unless you have to have a backup. Unless you can develop storage technology to capture that, it's not going to be. I think the reliability of wind and solar is around 25–30%. Nuclear is like 95%.
Right.
So oil and gas. So there still needs to be a back. And that's the fight we have regularly, all the time with my colleagues. I'm the energy ranker. I have that discussion fight with them on the floor all the time, in committee all the time. And it's just a fact of what we're dealing with.
I remember, I'm old enough that I remember when they were pushing nuclear power back in the 50s, and Walt Disney even did some programs on it, and at the time they said, this stuff is going to be so cheap, we won't even meter it. I mean, it's just one boondoggly lie after another to take us to technologies that we have no way to get out of the nuclear business. Yeah, where are we going to put the stuff?
And I think I just think anyone who thinks the natural gas or any of these other areas are just going to go away. I mean, certainly on the oil side of it, the coal side of it, you see even trying to push away. But even now, the clean coal technology is evolving. If there's certain things they can do there, that would help. But it's just you have different groups out there that are active, and certainly our governor is not shy about pounding himself on the chest. And he's the clean air, clean water governor. Like I said, I don't have any problem with investments in solar and wind. Now, some of that should be, I believe, should be done on the market and let the market determine that. But there's incentives that are done. The federals have the big one on the federal side is the ITC, and the state has some what they do through through the NYSERDA and the green energy portfolios. But we have to have a balance in that, and I think that natural gas, especially natural gas, which we have an abundant supply of, is going to go away. I just think that's mistaken.
If the state is involved in all this, they controlled and you guys control these IDAs. Why is the Steuben County IDA involved in every one of these wind plants? When in actuality, they don't create any permanent employment. They've never met any of their local hiring since when they did that big thing up in Howard, up through Naples. They never hit the 60% target of local employment. Never. But yet, nobody claws any money back or says no. Why are they involved in it all? It creates no jobs in the end.
Yeah,
and you got Hornell IDA, they're building apartment houses now. Taking away building and owning apartment houses by entrepreneurs that were local. We can't compete with that. But yet there they are. It's not going to create one damn job that's local. They're bringing outside contractors that are building the whole thing. They might buy some material here, but all the labor and all the goods and everything, they're not going to pay any sales tax on. So it not only affects Hornell, it affects everybody in Steuben County because sales tax is a big item. But yet, and I wrote to you through your website, evidently you don't get many messages through there, asking, what are the rules for an IDA? How come this is all allowed? And I never heard back from you on that.
Well, we can talk about that afterwards. My chief of staff's in the back of the room and he oversees that. So.
There's a lot of problems with health with the wind turbines.
Yeah.
There's people up and leaving the homes because they can't live with them, you know. It's causing them all sorts of health issues. Do you not think we should be looking into health issues on these before anyone
I think that's why you should have an environmental review process as part of that, and that's part of the process that should be going on. And no, there's wind can be set up through two ways. So one, going through the seeker process, which or two through the Article 10 side, where you have local representatives as part of that board making a determination on which way they go. Really determines on which how they want to apply, whether they want to go through the Article 10 or through the seeker process. But that seeker is part of the state environmental quality review prospect that has to take into consideration the siting, the distance, the impact, whether it's wind, whether it's noise. All those things have to be taken into account. It also depends on each municipality and what type of code or regulations or they have in place in their individual municipalities as well.
See, between Canasteel and Greenwood, we're talking 176 turbines now. Inver Energy is proposed 90 to 140. They're up to 143 on the plan now, you know, and that's what they say phase one, you know. So people can live around these things.
Yeah. And the idea, just to, the question on the IDAs, obviously they have a local board. There's oversight that's done on, I don't want to say oversight, I mean there's review and analysis done by comptroller's office over IDAs. There's been more restrictions that have been placed on the IDAs.
I wrote to him too, I got nothing.
Those decisions, they have that board and they weigh, when they look at a project to try to determine if it has an economic viability or impact. I certainly, I've made my case known to people that they need to look at, when they're doing projects through the ideas, to look at more at local labor because that's important. Because we need, the more we have investment in our local communities and our local firms, that helps our local community better.
Well, the I is for industrial.
Yes.
None of that is industrial. Just like that gentleman on Rare said, and you said in California there's all lane waste. They don't put in there and charge these people the liability and the cost for taking them down when they fail, or taking them down. If the feds quit putting the money in, all these people, they're making money before they ever turn one propeller up there, and before they ever generate 1 kilowatt of power. They're getting federal tax credits, they're getting stuff from the state, and before they make anything. But if it comes to, and the Republicans and Trump and the rest of them, which fine, go ahead, if they stop all that free money that they're getting, guess what they're gonna do? They'll fold bankruptcy, and it's already happened. They fold a bankruptcy and they walk away, and that's left there for the poor farmer that thought he was going to make a big bargain out of this thing sitting there. The lease payments stop, everything stopped, and he's stuck. He still owns the property.
And I know Senator Mayer actually has legislation that would deal with, for some of these, like whether it's solar, or more so on the solar side, but because you see a lot more of these solar farms going into place. What happens after that period of time? That there's got to be provisions in there to deal with the disposal of that after that. And I think more of that needs to be addressed in this because someone could walk away at any point in time on any of these programs, and then what happens from there?
Even the roads, when they go to take them down, they're going to tear the hell out of roads the same way they did putting them up. It's got, and nobody locally that's that's smiling and saying, look what we're doing for you, is thinking any farther than the next curb.
And with the road issues in a lot of these projects, they should be looking, obviously, at the locals, where the locals have a trouble, if it's going over local, with some bonding to make sure there's protection for the roads, and that investment is made to redo or repair those roads that are used. And that should be being done, you know, at that level with the locals when those decisions are being made, if they're being made to go forward with them.